Human levitation. The Orthodox Church did not pass this cup filled with mysticism mixed with a sincere faith of God and a pious way of life. In the vastness of the great Russian Empire, righteous and deeply devout people were exposed to the gift of soaring over a sinful land. Among the Russian Levitants, one can name the monk Seraphim of Sarov, Basil the Blessed, Archbishop John of Novgorod and Pskov. So having taken monastic vows in the Sarov Monastery in Tambov province, Seraphim retired in the forest in a cell, where he lived constantly feeding the bounty of nature. Seraphim devoted all his time to reading the gospel, prayers, and taming violent human flesh. Here he made friends with all the forest inhabitants and even fed the bear with bread. Levitants officially recognized by the church do not include witches. How many of them were burned at the stake of the Holy Inquisition cannot be counted. Currently, the greatest results of the field of levitation have been achieved by those who use Siddhic yogic methods. Old history of the era of loss of knowledge and the era of ignorance, much of this technique has been lost, but the part of the innermost knowledge is still preserved.
And how important is the role of the chakra when it comes down to learning these siddhis?
It's very important. First of all, you have to check that should be the first checkpoint which you have to make. How is now your chakras? If you, for example, see that some chakras are really in a negative rotation or in a positive rotation, I mean, it depends on you how it's normal to you. And if you think that in this moment, or if you know that in this moment is something you're losing more than you're taking, and you are really weak on some chakras, and you try to do this levitation, it can be dangerous for you.
One of the guardians was the Indian guru Devi. A young physicist became his student in 1957. Having moved to the United States under the name of Maharishi Yogi, he preached the new philosophical and religious teaching of the science of creative reason. Its cornerstone is transcendental consciousness, which is not limited by any framework and can receive information directly from the surrounding world and from the universal mind. And not only through the senses. Maharishi claims that the ability to levitate is inherent in everyone. You just need to learn how it operates and how to use it. In 1986, the first Flying Yogis competition, a person sitting motionless in the lotus position suddenly rises smoothing into the air, hangs motionless for a while, and then land just as smoothly. Now, what is levitation? Randomness or regularity? Dispute numerous cases of such flights. It is perceived as a miracle or, at the best, a mysterious phenomenon. This assessment will not change until the answer to the main question is found. What is the nature of the force that lifts a person into the air? Does it arise in the body itself due to the mobilization of some internal reserves? Or it's the source located outside the person and only connects to him? Judgment about the physical nature of levitation are very contradictory. A number of researchers believe that levitation occurs as a result of the appearance of a biogravitational field, which is created by a psychic energy emitted by the human brain. Until recently, many serious scientists spoke about levitation and anti-gravity very harshly in the spirit that all is bullshit. Now, they have to reconsider their position. It all started with the fact that in March 1991, the authoritative scientist journal Nature published a sensational photograph. The director of Tokyo Superconductivity Research Laboratory was sitting on a platter of superconducting ceramic material. A small gap was clearly visible between it and the floor surface. The director, weighed together with the dish, was 120 kilograms, which did not prevent them from floating above the ground. This phenomenon was later called the Meissner effect. Of course, this cannot be called levitation yet. However, this experiment can help uncover the secrets of levitants. Studying the issue of levitation, scientists could not help but ask the question, if a person, being in a state of a religious trance or ecstasy, can fly. For instance, overcome the gravitational attractions of the Earth. Does this mean that the theory of gravity is untenable? A difficult question. In the East, they teach, in order to achieve the state of levitation, a person must lead an ascetic life, and then perform a series of specific exercise of the energy, from the lowest chakra to the highest. In the process of prolonged meditation, the adept first achieve coordination of the frequency of the chakras located in the head, as a result which the brain is completely freed from all kinds of external and internal information. For instance, silence or disconnect of the mind. Then gradually, starting with the lowest chakra, mentally moving to the chakra with the higher frequency and harmonizes their frequencies. Having reached agreement, the practitioner mentally moves to the next and so on, until he brings the vibrations of all 7 nodes to a single meaning. At the moment of reaching the coordination of all frequencies, the practitioner comes to a state of enlightenment and he is able to fly inside his aura. Scientists, whose consciousness is not blinded by standard knowledge, go even further in their reasoning. Christopher Dunn, an engineer and researcher, thinks about the question in this way: what is antigravity? In my understanding, it is a means by which objects can rise, overcoming the gravity of Earth. We use anti-gravity methods every day. When we get out of bed in the morning, we use anti-gravity airplanes, rocket, forklifts, and elevators are technologies invented to overcome the effects of gravity. The main thing is to wake it up in the gene memory, and then levitation will not seem like something out of the ordinary. Then each of us will be able to rise into the air without any problems and fulfill the dream of our childhood. To fly not only in dreams, but also in reality. As is almost always the case, the truth lies somewhere in between science and religious consciousness. In this case, at the junction of different sciences, probably the day is not too far when philosophers, scientists, and engineers will stop arguing, collect and analyze the richest heritage of their ancestors, and they will certainly find ways to overcome gravity and then teach us to fly. Fortunately for mind power development and kinesis, we have one of the best sit-down masters who developed this system, who learned from their ancestors and now open to bring this education to others. This is the process that is not meant to be achieved overnight. It is a siddhic connection. It takes great practice and concentration. And to find out more, follow, like, share our channel. Join our education system to grow and become important to the universe, and go into great distance for your journey here and the afterwards.